so nice to be welcomed like this because I come straight from France to show you my instrument. I mean to show you my piano à bretelles. That is a piano with suspenders, as you can see. Sometimes we call that the piano des pauvres because where I live near Montmartre, in the poor sections of Montmartre, hardly anybody can buy a real piano. So if you want to produce some interesting popular music, then you have to buy something a little smaller like this, a little more portable, you know. And in order to demonstrate what this baby can do, see, I've learned a new expression lately that I like to use. Maybe you tell that to your students as well, I don't know. But in order to show you what this baby can do, I would like to tell you a French musical tale. Il était une fois, once upon a time, there was a little village in western France called Saint-Rémy-du-Plain. Now, this is not another Asterix and Obelix story, no. These are real people. And they worked very hard, all day, every day. And of course, there was nothing in terms of entertainment, I mean, not much. The ladies would subscribe to fashion magazines, for instance. And they would look at black and white pictures of dresses that they couldn't afford. Because they enjoyed that very much. The men would plan the hunt in August. They would practice the hunt in the fall. And for the rest of the time, they would go to a cafe and complain that the hunt was terrible again and again and again. Because they enjoyed that very much. There was no television. No television. That's very difficult for some of you younger people to understand. No television. Maybe a little radio for the news and a little bit of music. But not much else. So you can imagine that everybody was very, very pleased when the time came for the yearly festival. La fête du village. Now, normally, that would take place in the community hall, if you had one. Now, in Saint-Rémy, they didn't have one, so they had to make one every year. So they would invite a team of experts to put together some planks, to create some kind of floor. And then the others would create some kind of structure with rods and everything. They throw some tarpaul over this, and voila. Or as you say over here, I think bingo. Then you have an instant hall for people to dance. And this was very much appreciated. During that festival, there were all sorts of activities. And the people would normally start with race, cycling race. You know, this is Tour de France country, so you can expect a cycling race in the morning. And then they would have all sorts of activities in the afternoon, like the grease pole, or egg throwing contest. Oh, here is an interesting idea for Solal next year during your retreat. Egg throwing contest. That would create very interesting dynamics. Perhaps a recreation of World War II, but who knows? It would be very, very exciting. Anyway, there were all sorts of activities. But the most important activity was ballroom dancing. All people liked that very much. And the important person there was, of course, the accordionist, because you see, the accordionist not only plays the melody, but he can also accompany himself. What? So something strange happened here on the way to France, you know. This is a little problem there. Oh, let me fix that in a minute. This is very strange. And let's try this again. There we go. So, not only can you play the melody, but you can also accompany yourself. Much better, much better, much better. So, the accordionist, of course, would call the shots. And he would usually start with something fairly lively, you know, something like a march, or maybe a charleston, maybe something like this. 3 or 4 of those, and everybody would be up on the dance floor. But then you would notice that the ladies started sitting down. Not because they were tired, no. They were sick and tired of marching up and down this thing with a man in tow. So they really wanted to dance something very interesting. And by that, usually, they meant a nice waltz. It so happens that the French repertoire has a lot of French waltzes, many of which have a lot to do with the city of Paris, where I live. And there is one in particular that deals with the poorest of the poorest in Paris. You know, the hobos, the clochards, those folks who live with a liter of red wine, some old camembert, and a hot baguette or something. And they live under the bridges of Paris. In other words, sous les ponts de Paris. Loved it, and they wanted more.